Good morning, good afternoon, good night, GM, GN, wherever you might be in this big, wonderful world. We have a very special Twitter space for everybody listening today because today we are broadcasting live from Miami. Nia does have a presence at Art Basel this year where we are going to discuss everything about art without limits on top of Nia Protocol. Today, we have the wonderful Christopher Golzinski. I'm going to hope that I'm saying that right. Christopher, if I'm not, you can tell me off. Feel free. From Niche Protocol, he is the CEO. He is building a brand new social media platform, a reimagined space for clubs and communities where you can get together. And it is, of course, built on top of Nia. Now, it doesn't look like Chris has joined our spaces just yet, but let's give him a few minutes. In the meantime, if anybody is attending the Nia event here in Miami today, tomorrow rather, or on Friday, feel free to raise your hand. We would love to have you and have a little bit of a pre-chat about all your plans for Art Basel. If not, we will sit tight and we will wait for Chris. Anybody, regardless of whether you're in the near ecosystem, you're an art enthusiast, you're Joe Blogs who's walking down the street, it's free to come along and jump in out to our open house and art gallery, check out the art workshop, meet members of the near ecosystem, all the wonderful NFT artists that we have who have been lucky enough to make it out to Miami. And then at 2 o'clock, 2 hours later, we dive into some speakers and conversations with some incredible projects and individuals who are building on and around Nia and indeed outside of the Nia ecosystem as well. So some highlights for you. We do have Coindesk there who are going to be creating some wonderful content for us. They are going to be moderating a handful of panels, including one entitled Beyond Paris and Elon, NFTs and the Culture of Influence. That is with the legendary Baron Davis, ex-NBA All-Star, one of the few men I've met who is taller than me in real life and an all-round swell guy. But like I said, if you just tuned in, we're just waiting for Chris from Niche to join, and we can start talking about all of Niche Protocol's plans during Art Basel, Miami and Miami Art Week and the Nia event, and hopefully a bit of an introduction to what Niche is and what it means for the future of localized communities and clubs. And it is, of course, powered by Web3 on Nia. But back to the agenda for Nia's presence at Miami Art Week. We have, like I said, Baron Davis on that wonderful panel, moderated by Coindesk. And then on Friday, if you are lucky enough to attend, you will see my rugged face on a slice of the pie, the fight for creator royalties in the NFT landscape. As we all know, or as many of us know, I'm sure this is one of the hottest topics in the crypto ecosystem right now, particularly within the world of NFTs. Should we shake up the way that royalties operate within the world of NFTs? Should it reflect the traditional world a little bit more? What does it mean if we build royalties in to the protocol layer, to the token standard level? We're going to dive into that and more with some incredible guests, including Danny Osorio from MetaWeb, Tasha from Few and Far, Alex Salnikov from Rarible, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, and Austin Warren from Kino. That is going to be a lot of fun. And then getting to the most important part of any day, we have cocktails and connections from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So if you're hanging around in Miami, you want to grab a beer, you want to grab a snack, come along and head to the near event, which is at Ampersand Studios. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can head to near.org/Miami, and all the information's there. You can RSVP. We're going to have a damn good time, and I really want you to be a part of it. If you are not out in Miami, don't fret. We will be posting everything and anything on social media, as we always do. But in the meantime, whilst we work for Chris, I have a suspicion that Chris from Niche might have been caught up with something, perhaps the excitement of the near event at Miami. But I would love to jump on to a discussion with anybody who's attending. So, Luana, I can see you in the community chat here on the spaces. Feel free to jump up as a speaker. I would love to hear about what all your plans are during Miami Art Week, and of course the near event. We have Nisha joined. Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. It is so wonderful to have you here. Let's get you up speaking and we kick it off. Luana, feel free to come along and join in the chat as well. Luana, how are you doing?
Hey, David, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm super good. How is everybody?
Look, I didn't realize how hot Miami was going to be, so I packed a coat. Foolishly.
No way. Yeah, I know. I'm actually right now I'm in Wynwood, so I'm pretty close to the near location. I'm super excited for what is going to happen.
Exciting times indeed. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the speaker panel, Luana. And Christopher, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you so much. Thanks for bearing with me too. I actually deleted my my Twitter account not too long ago, so I was trying to hunt down our Niche Protocol account.
Hey, no worries, man. You made it, right? I'm so thrilled that you're here. I think Niche is one of the most exciting projects that's building on there, at least from my point of view. So let's kick it off. And Luana, feel free to jump in with any questions that you have for Chris and for everybody at Niche. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Niche, what the project is?
Yeah. So originally I was one of the Tinder co-founders. I'm one of the authors on the Swipe patent. I'm also one of the co-creators of Bumble. I did all the interface design and branding and such for those, as well as a few other companies. So Niche basically is kind of a continuation of my own professional curiosities of how people connect and ways to bring people together over different things. I met my co-founder Zabin last year through a mutual employee, mutual friend, and we started looking around and kind of thinking about what networks kind of meant and what was the current state of not only professional networks but social networks, and it kind of led us down a path of discovery of Web3 and DAOs and like what ownership meant and models of ownership. So we wanted to recreate and reinvent social media, what it looks like. What the incentive structure looks like, what the benefit is to end consumers, to creators, and to even brands. So we realized we needed to start over from the ground up. That's what we're doing.
Brilliant. So it sounds like you already have quite a lot of experience when it comes to connecting people. In fact, it sounds like you've dedicated your professional life to it.
Yeah, you could say that. I feel like if I wasn't if I wasn't a designer or whatever, I'd be a sociologist or psychologist.
Wow, it's interesting. So when it comes to Niche, what is it about the platform that you guys are building that compels users to use that over some a Web 2 alternative, for instance?
Sure, a lot of Web 2 legacy platforms. Like Twitter, for instance, right? You need to have a constant broadcast of content to an algorithm that already is hard on surfacing that content to the right people. And we're all kind of on a giant wheel, like that's this giant network, and we've all got the same kind of connection status. So if you want to stand out, you've got to shout really loud, and you got to continue shouting to even have some hope of making any kind of like return or income off of that. So I think at a start, we're trying to democratize access to the way people connect and why we connect and what we're connecting around. We're putting together, we're putting people together into like interest-based networks that are specifically gated by like NFTs. And as you interact with those groups, you've got agency over, like basic governance because they're all structured as DAOs under the hood. You can elect admins. You've got agency over, what happens in your overall group, where certain funds can be deployed in certain instances. You rank up as members in that club the same way you would like gain XP in a game. You rank up in your membership too. That shows off your status. And with each membership tier comes like membership rewards through like in-app tokens or if there's a brand partnership or brand partnership sponsorship with the club, special products, special deals, stuff like that. So we're providing more, I think, overall benefit. Not only do you like own the clubs too, you're actually participating with the creators, and instead of an audience member, you're now a community member.
So it's really about, and correct me if I'm wrong, building deeper connections with one another and with communities and community leaders.
100%, 100%. Because I think people want quality connection rather than like the quantity of connection. We've all proven that like we can connect everybody on the globe, right? But I think now it's about a little more intentionality of like what we're connecting for. And if we look around at what's happening, people are connecting more specifically over like, Facebook groups or Reddit or Discord communities, stuff like that, where they have more of a community feel and they're not just being broadcast to or advertised at. So that's kind of the signal we're trying to take and amplify, because I think it's a better just overall impact on society.
I mean, I completely agree. I think you're preaching to the choir here, and I can't wait for everybody else to get on board as well. But of course, we do have Luana here as well. Luana, would you want to give yourself a little quick intro about who you are, what you do, and what your plans are? Because I would love to hear from both of you of what your plans are for Miami Art Week and why you're here.
Oh my God. Okay. So, well, my name is Luana. As you may see, I am the BD for Octopus Network, and at the same time, I am the CEO for Flying Rhino Guild. It's a Web3 marketing agency here in New York Protocol. I am right now in Miami. I am from Miami, actually. So here is the Miami girl. I'm ready for the Art Basel. I actually went to the Central and Web3 Summit. I met a lot of people, very, 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 part of our community here in Near. The plans that we have right now with Flying Rhino, it's going to be South America. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff coming up on 2023 with building communities there. So I'm super excited. This is something that, I think that actually I've been doing some research on niche because this is something that we content creators and specifically we've been looking forward to have like a better creator economy in the protocol, and kind of like support each other and build community organically and be able to share our content all together. So I'm really, really, very excited to know that niche are you going to be launching pretty soon? When is this happening?
That's funny. No, yeah, we did a small kind of proof of concept beta a couple months ago, right, like during NearCon actually in Lisbon. We let only maybe like 100 people on just to kind of validate like our invite process. The whole point of it being like you can join an NFT gated DAO with basically one click. So we sent out like a text invite, and with that invite, you click it once, it makes you a custodial wallet, stores the keys, gives you an NFT in the club, grants you that token access for your feed, puts it all in a like I said, a near custodial wallet, all on chain with just one click. So I always like to say like it's easy enough, like your mom can do it. Like my mom has a custodial near wallet with NFTs in it, and she has no idea what NFTs are. So proof of concept wise, it went really well. So we took all those learnings, and now we're kind of in a building phase. We're onboarding some early like creator communities around like middle of this. Well, it's almost December now. Yeah, middle of December, end of December. And that's going to be beta tested through until maybe February, March. And then we're aiming for like ETH Denver, South by Southwest, maybe a little later too, into Coachella to have a presence there of a more like public launch. We'll be announcing what the first class of founders clubs look like, getting some press around it, doing general activations, stuff like that.
Awesome. So I'm actually going to see you in East Denver. So you're going to be presenting
Hey,
there?
there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at panels now. We just submitted for South by too. So if you're not at one, try the other.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I'm really excited about that because I think this is a really good way for communities to actually, connect and also learn from each other, kind of be more accessible. And this is what we're trying to do is making tools more accessible for our communities to really get to, use this and really know what, Web3 and blockchain can offer to them, right?
Yeah,
So I'm super excited to try it out.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I think we've taken kind of a hypothesis on what that end value is to like a consumer, rather than just trying to build a kind of an educated guess of a protocol, right? And then trying to invite in application layers to then build their own networks. I think we're going to get a lot of consumer validation out of like building the consumer product first, and that influences how we build our protocol too.
Awesome. That's awesome. David, you're gonna have your own community?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we can spin something up around shit posting if you want. Yeah. So Christopher, Friday, 2:40 p.m. Opportunities in crisis, making the most of crypto winter. You are on the panel at Ampersand Studios for Nia's event. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What you're expecting to speak to, and perhaps just generally what your plans are once you're out here in the boiling hot sun of Miami?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really good panel. We all kind of like met together, and we've got some great topics lined up. And I think we're all trying to focus on like, this I'm making air quotes, the crypto winter. Like, what does this mean for people that are building in the space? And I think what are the outcomes from it? There's a lot of good building going on right now, and I think because of this kind of crash, it's taken eyes off of things like the get rich quick kind of schemes, right? And refocusing that onto more like infrastructure, ecosystem, like a lot of like companies like us that are taking a hard hypothesis on what this consumer benefit is going to be, and it's letting us get kind of the spotlight now, and maybe a little more VC attention, and people are less worried about what's going on with like token sales or like coins and such, because they're realizing that there's a bigger play underneath here. So just more stuff like that too. So, and in general, we'll just be kind of poking around and saying hi to people. I think we're going to a couple parties on Thursday and Friday. But yeah, if I'm around, you can't miss me. I'm 6'3", a big beard. Come say hi.
Amazing. Okay, I'm thrilled. I'll make a point of not missing you because I can't wait to catch up. Okay, so Luana, is there anything in particular that you're excited about when it comes to the Nia event? I know we've got a lot of great activations on both during the event and outside of the event.
I'm really interested in getting to know, first of all the speakers that are going to be participating, all the activities that are going to be happening with, NFTs, and all the artists they are going to be participating in it. I think I'm super excited for it. It's going to be 2 days of like a lot of things going on. I'm kind of already, kind of crazy because I've been going to party every single day, kind of. So it's going to be fun. I hope I'm still alive till Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that we've all learned, if you've attended crypto-focused events in the past, it's it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? You don't need to go too crazy. Just have a good time, do the things you want to do. Remember, it's hot, stay hydrated. Otherwise, how will you manage to watch Chris on his wonderful panel on Friday if you get too hungover?
Don't make me speak to anyone.
Hey, I don't blame you. I feel the same way sometimes. Okay, so look, Chris, I would actually like to pull on a little thread that you mentioned earlier. So you said, now your mum has a custodial neo wallet, right?
Yeah.
So you guys obviously took a look at the full breadth of the layer one landscape and you settled on near.
Yeah.
Why was that?
I think for a number of reasons. There's like really specific needs of like a social network or like social media, right? In quotes. Just in terms of like technical resources, like a lot of read writes being generated all at once, right? So it's got to be something that's fast, that's within realm of like budget too, right? We can't have some like crazy gas fees that we're just paying so we can write stuff to the blockchain, as well as like overall security. That came into play while we were looking around. We looked at like Solana, right? I think it was a big contender, but there was a huge kind of breach that was exposed to, which kind of perked our ears up, and I think more stacked us in the near column. And then just I think the overall developer network really friendly. I think a lot of complementary things are being built on Near right now, just because it's got so many attractive aspects to it. And I think more like Web 2 veterans are going to start coming into the space, regardless of chain. And I think Near is working really hard to get those types of founders and builders in onto the Near platform. And I don't think that's too hard of a sell either. Like everyone I talk to, I've heard a lot of different kind of like people building on different things, but it always comes back to like what does the overall ecosystem look like, and what's the future going to look like. So I don't know. For us, it was kind of a clear choice to build on Near.
Incredible, and I think obviously I'm going to say this because I'm biased, but I mean the usability of the chain itself. How much of the wallet creation process, this perhaps this need to know about blockchain and tech, are you guys abstracting away in niche?
Honestly, like the more the better. Like even the pitches that we give to potential like creators and communities, we really don't mention much about Web3. We just try and distill it down to like what is the value proposition to you versus legacy platforms, right? Like what are legacy platforms doing now to basically cap your revenue stream or keep you completely out of a revenue stream, and what are we going to specifically do to give you a leg up on it? So when we talk about it, most people don't even want to know about like, what does NFT gating mean, or like what's gas fees, or how are the smart contracts deployed. If it just doesn't, and the people get the value, it doesn't matter. Like when you go on Facebook, do you really think about the tech stack that it took to build that? Like no, right? It's just kind of ubiquitous now at this point. So if we can get to that point of ubiquity, I think it's even better. It just lets us focus on the value of the tech rather than the tech itself.
I agree. And Luana, feel free to chip in whenever, but do you think that the direction that the space is heading as a whole, and perhaps Chris, you'll have a better insight into this. Well, I'm sure you will than I will, because you speak to people probably outside of the Web3 bubble far more often than I do. Do you think that people are still seeing the value in blockchain tech, particularly when the buzzwords and the laborious steps to get involved have been taken away?
Yes, I think that, that's one of I think that, everything that is happening right now, even from Web 2, and I mean, being here right now in Art Basel kind of has been like an eye-opening for me, because I have seen a lot of people from Web 2 very interested in participating in Web 3, and kind of like get to know a little bit more on how to start like building Web 3, and how I can, change from, whatever I used to do in terms of content, and now how can I will do like what tools are there in Web 3 that I can use to really own my content and really gain money doing it. And I think this is one of the things that right now are changing the space completely, because we are all changing in the concept of our perspective on how we see social media, or how do we want to, promote our company out there, or how we want to promote ourselves, or how do we want to, kind of like do whatever we do in social media now. So I think that, having different platforms that support, you know, these individuals and communities is going to bring different ways of, even for me as a content marketing and doing marketing in Web3, it has been evolving so fast and so in such a huge amount that I think that this is going to, really bring different ideas and different formulas to really create content and build your community out there.
I agree. I think like the things that like decentralization stands for and like the tenets of Web3, it's up to the founders and the builders to believe in that, and then digest that down into what the value is to the end users or to the consumers, really. Because I mean, like privacy at like a top level, like yeah, we all kind of care about privacy, but like I don't know, in the practical applications of it, I don't think a consumer really considers that all that much. They want to be able to trust the thing they're using, and then find pragmatic utility in it, or entertainment, or whatever their intent is. And as long as like we're being good stewards of those tenets and filtering it down into what that core value is to the consumer, I think that's the most important thing, and that's what's going to get people to like go towards mass adoption.
I mean, Chris, you have been before, you have actually worked before in Web2. You actually have been a co-founder for another platform, and you kind of understand this point of how different it is to build a platform in Web2 and now Web3, and having like so many other options and kind of be, a real creator. Because you can really bring up so many solutions to so many problems that we have in Web2 right now. So how do you feel in this, in this case, as a founder now in Web3 for a platform that is going to be part of the social media, and there is going to be uh, uh, something that people are going to be using every single day to connect with each other? What you can say, for this community, what do you think that you're trying to bring as a goal as Niche? What is the goal of Niche?
I think like bringing us together, like more in an analogous way to like how we do it in real life. That's kind of like what we did in Tinder, right? Like to match up with someone, you don't sit down and fill out like a huge questionnaire. Like you go to some place, or you bump into someone, or you meet someone. So you know what I mean? So I think having a solution that's more akin to like how humans behave normally outside of a digital space just innately sets you apart, right? So and that's what is kind of behind the NFC gated groups, is that it's like we normally connect around things that like we have in common. So it's weird to be in a network that like my coworkers, my high school friends, my family, and then some random person I met at a conference 3 years ago all share the same relational status, and like all produce individual content that seemingly doesn't really have anything in common either. So I think at just a first point, putting people into things that are like more natural just produce inherently better results, and it's like an evolutionary process over like the social networks 1.0. Like I said, we all figured out how to put each other together in a giant network, and the only way we could make money off of it was to start shotgun blasting ads at people, which if you look at all the KPIs is really inefficient. Like yeah, they make a ton of money off of it, but if you look at the effort required to get to someone to get their product, I mean it's really not that efficient. So I don't know, I think putting a little intentionality behind what we're doing and like where we're investing our time, like in a digital space online, and like where that data goes and where that ownership goes and where that value goes, I think is starting to be a thought in people's minds, regardless of niche. It's, you can see it in the legacy landscape now too.
Yeah, of course. I think we actually even see it in Twitter. People are being more
Totally.
open to speak up about certain things that they don't agree with, and that's great. I really I really like that attitude from the public. I think this is, this is what it's all about, is to really open up and say and voice up about what are the things that you really like and what things you don't like. And
Hmm.
there's going to be a lot of different platforms that really work for you, and there's a lot of platforms that won't. So I am really excited to get to know a little bit more of it, and I'm hoping that I will be able to be part of that beta tester because I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
want. Uh, for sure. But one of the things that I was looking at is there's not, are you planning to do any type of kind of like a space where communities can talk with each other? Or this is mostly like chat with each other and share their own content and kind of like how will be that interaction between communities in this or clubs in this case?
Yeah, so the communication in clubs is kind of like the way you would post in like a subreddit, right? Like, and it's kind of depending on the club too. If it's a club specifically around like a creator or something like that, maybe they're the only people that have posting rights. But maybe it's like a shared hobby, like my weird kind of nerd thing is Star Wars. I like to collect Star Wars toys from like the 70s and 80s, but like the old rare stuff, and some of this stuff goes for crazy amounts now. There was some like Boba Fett thing that went for like $250,000 at auction a couple months ago. But I mean, like with that kind of stuff, it's about it's behavior that happens already, right, on Facebook groups or in Slack channels, private Slack channels. Um, it's stuff around like things that drive identity. Like this is my collection, or this is a piece that like I learned something about. So like I want to now share it with the community through, a post or like a short form video or whatever. And niche supports all that. We support video posts, pic posts, text posts. In the future, we'll probably have like live spaces where you can get on and have some kind of like interactive space, kind of akin to what we're doing here, where it's like a broadcast to your club rather than just kind of like out into the ether and hoping someone will hear you. Um, which happens now, like I said, in Facebook groups, like the one of the Star Wars groups I'm in does like a regular Zoom call every Saturday night, and people chime in, and maybe someone's selling something, or someone's got like a question, or someone found something new and they want to share with the group. It's just it's a home for that, so you can feel at home, so you can feel like you're around people that share your same interests, and you can be yourself online. So I don't think a lot of people feel like themselves. They can be like themselves online, right? And it's because of the relational status of everyone that's in the group. You don't quite know, all your followers or everyone shares that same intentionality. So
That's so cool. I'm really interested in learning more about it. Well, most than anything, I think try it out and see, how our communities, really interacting with each other. And, I'm actually very into Reddit and Quora.
mhm.
So I'm very interested in learning because I think that's a different way of really project your perspectives and your ideas when you're asking actual questions to your community, and everybody, kind of can like go into it and kind of, is there's going to be like an up vote, down vote type of thing, or how that's gonna go?
Sorry, you cut out the last little bit. Is it going to be like a App Store download?
No, no. It's going to have like an up vote. Like you're gonna be able to upvote on comments, or no? Are you doing
It'll
like a voting base?
Yeah, yeah. So the kind of innovation is that there's no like liking or like following people. So you join clubs and then you follow discussions. So posts are like evergreen pieces of content that you can engage with through like comments, and then people reply to your comments. And that's also how you gain kind of like experience points in those clubs and rank up your membership to different tiers, is through like I make a post that gets a bunch of engagement, or I engage with a lot of other posts through like replies or things that are adding to those conversations. And those conversations, like I said, are evergreen. They change over time, and they I think can generate a lot of like good information and like permanent resources that you can come back to, especially in like collecting and stuff. We often refer back to these old like forum links from way back in the day, of articles that people have written, because the information is still relevant, but there's no general repository anymore, because you make a post on Facebook and it's gone, right? Good luck ever finding that piece of information again. So I think it's all structured around things that add and are complementary towards that group, that club, that interest.
I agree. I mean, I'm a faithful user of like Stalker Flow and oh my God, like so many of those. And it's always great to kind of like go ahead. But I mean, like there's different things for everybody, but I think this is going to be great for Web3. There is and also for our community. So there is a different way of really communicate with each other and maybe bring so many other topics that usually in Twitter or in any other kind of platform we cannot talk about, and maybe be more open to ask different questions there.
Yeah, because I think it's all about the people who are you're around. Like I ask different questions and make different comments based on the people I'm with, right? Like it all depends on that relational model. So I think if you're already around the right kinds of people, the stuff that you guys are going to talk about is going to be really cool, and it's going to turn more people who are usually just casual consumers of content into content creators themselves, and ultimately that's good, right? That's exciting. That's what like adds to the discussion and I think furthers topics.
Yeah, for sure. David.
So, yeah, I mean, I should probably save this to the end, right? But you mentioned you're a huge Star Wars fan, Chris. What would you say if I was to say, hello there?
Did you watch Obi-Wan? I'm a Star Wars fan. A lot of people have weird things to say about it, but I don't know. New Star Wars is good Star Wars. Whatever.
Absolutely, man. It's always good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to pick up on something you mentioned earlier, right? And I think this goes back to what you mentioned earlier about if you weren't in this position, you might have been a sociologist. You were talking about how people interact online.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that in the world of niche, or in the world of Twitter, or in the world of Facebook, or whatever social media community platform we're using, do you think that people are more authentic than they are in the real world? And do you think that translates over to becoming a benefit when you're building out communities like the ones that will be live on niche?
Yeah, I think it's all about, like we keep saying, like who's in your network, and it really affects what you say and how you say it. Like I talk very casually about Star Wars, but I wouldn't be able to talk that way about it with like my fiance, right? Like she doesn't really know much about the production line of the Kenner vintage line, so she would kind of look at me cross-eyed and be like, oh, like whatever, he's talking about Star Wars again. But the people that understand it and have like put that much into the hobby like totally get what I'm talking about. So it's like it's very contextual of like who's around and what you're saying and like who's picking that up. So I think the more we like amplify that and make it easier for people to be around those same people, the better.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, to piggyback off your point there, I think the world of Web3 and the world of crypto is such a good example of this, because personally, I feel completely immersed in the world of Web3 and the community of Web3, specifically NEARS, but certainly the wider world of crypto and Web3 too. But to be perfectly honest, on a typical tier, I rarely get to talk to somebody about it in person, because everybody... It's crazy. Yeah, when you think about it, you actually sit down and think about it. Yeah, how am I so engrossed in this community? I've never even met 99.9% of the people.
That's really true. I think the more that it translates to, I don't know, real life, the better. Because then you get caught up in these like little bubbles, right? And it's Twitter's a really good example of that, especially in the Web3 community, is that it's hard to kind of see the forest for the trees, and you almost make the mistake of building for the wrong crowd. Like I always tell people, don't build Web3 stuff for Web3 people. Build it for everybody. Like I don't know, like the Web3 community is pretty small, and you could almost get into like the circle of building something for Web3 crowd, for the VC crowd. You know what I mean? It's like that might not filter out until or through, you know, like the general populace and find like a mass audience. Because ultimately I think like if you can't find like mass adoption, like you're not providing significant enough benefit for wide enough range. I don't know, but you could argue that, I suppose, a couple different ways. You know, if you can't prove specific use to a small target group of people, you can't prove it to a large group of people, right? Too. So I don't know. It's open for discussion, but I don't know. That's just kind of my pontificating, I guess.
Go ahead, Lon.
I agree with Chris right there. I completely agree that we should be like really building for everyone, not only for Web3 people. And I mean, I get it. I've been with a lot of people in Web2 and really meeting other communities. And they're always, oh my God, it's so difficult. I don't know how to go in. I don't know where should I go somewhere else? Like, is this in the same internet? Like, I get these questions all the time. So it's really important that we kind of don't lose the idea of that things have to be accessible for everyone. And, you know, I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to actually, you know, have Chris here, you know, in explaining all these things that he's going to be creating and that he's working on. And I'm sure that a lot of communities are going to be built after that.
Thanks. Yeah, the learning curve is really steep, but it's like, and like changes happen really fast too, even in our own kind of model. I feel like as we go from week to week and get like deeper into it, we have like more and more kind of insights and like eureka moments of like, oh man, you know, if we do this, that means this, and then we can provide this to people. Because I think we're ultimately chasing after that user case of what we all talked about before, of like, how are we going to get people to adopt this, and like what's that clear cut benefit where they're going to be like, oh well, this is a clear cut winner over X. You know what I mean? And I think what we've all been talking about is like where that initial penetration point is. And we think it's building for creators because they're the ones that create all the content. They're the ones that drive all the engagement. So why not make it better and more advantageous for them? And that helps our zero start problem too. We're not just onboarding one person at a time. We're onboarding a creator. And that brings with it their entire audience and then turns that audience into a community. So I don't know. I'm getting like goosebumps talking about this. I get all worked up.
Absolutely. I'm sure that, you know, this is your baby, and, you know, it's very important to have everyone on board on it. I think that also this can be like a great idea to diversify the way that you earn, you know, your income. So this is something that I also talk with a lot of my communities when it comes to really being independent, because at the end, this is what it is about.
100%.
And yeah. 100%. This is what it is about. So we are here to really build tools that everyone can use to become independent and grow and, you know, continue maybe building.
Yeah. That I came across some stat. I think maybe it's 2017 or 2018. It was a couple of years old. So I feel like it's even more exaggerated now. But like 97.5% of people making YouTube content didn't even cross the poverty line. With the money that they made from those creations. So that's saying what, like 2.5% of people that actually make any type of like real money to, you know what I mean, to even put on your taxes. And then like, I think 30% of kids surveyed said they wanted to be some type of like social media influencer, which is just absolutely bonkers. When I was a kid, everybody wanted to be like a football player, like a musician. You know what I mean? It's just staggering. I think the shift that's happened so far. So the landscape is changing. We see it day to day, it agnostic of whatever is happening, you know? And I say people's behavior is very predictable, regardless of the technology. If you put them in a certain situation, people are going to act a certain way. And that's kind of like my fascination with sociology, and like human behavior. You know, it's super duper predictable. And it doesn't matter what technology is used behind the scenes. If you give them a clear cut X, like you'll get Y every single time, and that changes different depending on the positions that you put people into. So that's not a Web3 thing. That's just like a human being like rule of interaction thing. So coming from like a design background for myself, I think that's something that I'm like obsessed in trying to understand and facilitate more.
Yeah, for sure. I completely understand that in every single sense, because even for me, like kind of like explaining one-on-ones on how to even like, make your Near wallet. It has to become so accessible for me to actually, explain it in so many ways, so, people can like really feel like, oh, okay, so this is what it was. It was so easy. I just built it. I just created it. Now I can probably make my own. So
Exactly right.
yes, exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time somebody asked you to help them make like a Facebook account, right? Like, besides like your grandma, perhaps, it's so intuitive and it's so easy. Um, that's the world that we need to work towards with the world of Web3 as well. And the fact, Christopher, that you guys are abstracting away much of these hurdles is absolutely music to my ears, 100%. Because that's what's going to make it easier for the next billion people, 2 billion, 5 billion, 8 billion, however many there is on the planet to get on board. I have a really quick side question. It's going to add absolutely no value to the conversation whatsoever, but I kind of want to know, does it wind you up if people say niche instead of niche?
That's funny, and it's only happened a few times. I suppose either is correct. It just depends on where you're from, but we say niche to talk about the company. You could say niche if you want to talk about like the actual word itself, but yeah, we do it with the hard couple of e's, hard niche.
I'm glad we cleared that one up. Thank you so much.
Well, for me, it will be Nietzsche, because I'm Latina, so it's going to be Nietzsche for me. Chris, I'm just
I'll
telling
take
you.
that too. It sounds fun. Yeah.
That one does sound cool. I agree. Okay, guys, we've got about 3 minutes until we have 10 minutes left, when I will give you my big thank you and open up the floor to you two to talk about anything that you want. In those last few minutes, Lorna, have you got any more questions for Christopher?
I think Chris has been great explaining me everything. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I'm definitely going to be there, listening to you in the panel. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, thanks. It's like I said, it's going to be really good. There's a lot of other really interesting people on the panel as well that have really unique viewpoints that I think add to the overall conversation of like what do we do now that we've kind of hit this wall in crypto. So there's really a lot of exciting things being built that are coming out too, and a lot of different like use cases that are like we keep saying is going to utilize the pragmatic value of this technology rather than just focusing on the technology itself, and then imparting that value to general consumers. So I think that's the exciting innovation that's coming from a lot of different people. So hopefully the panel kind of illuminates some of those use cases.
Absolutely. I have no doubt it will, and I'm very much looking forward to that. But because we only have 10 minutes left, this is my thank you to every single person, every single wonderful creator, builder, artist, bright spark of joy in the world of Web3 and Near. When they join a Twitter Spaces with myself, I like to give you 5 minutes at the end to talk about whatever you want. So, Chris, Luana, it doesn't have to be about niche. It doesn't have to be about octopus or flying rhino. It could be about your favorite way to go to sleep at night, the best type of tea, how many bottles of wine you like to drink, whatever it is. The floor is yours. Feel free. Fill us in. It can be Star Wars. Go for it.
Oh man, well I've got a few things to say about the recent 3 movies of Star Wars. So if you guys want to really settle in, I'm going to get deep on like the minutia of the ways the Force is being manipulated. Cool with that?
Go ahead. I want to learn. I want to know. I'm a Star Wars fan, so go ahead.
Oh man, I don't know. I think all the new Star Wars content is really exciting. I don't know how many Star Wars fans are listening, but Andor just finished up. Boy, was that a really good one. Very, very different than like any other kind of typical Star Wars things. It was like paced a little slower. It got really like gritty into this like this kind of fascist state empire that's like cracking down on its population. It brought up a lot of interesting themes, just as a general show like story, right? It doesn't even have to be with Star Wars, but I don't know. What do we talk about? Everyone's like, oh, the floor's open, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, all I think about is work.
People have told me it's the hardest question when actually there's no right or wrong answer. How about this Mandalorian? Yes or no?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So cool. I even used Baby Yoda in one of my my product mock-ups. He's like the little figurehead for the Star Wars Club in my Figma mock-ups.
I have Baby Yoda as an ornament for my actual tree, so
nice.
If that counts.
I've got my office, my home office. I've got a like a whole wall that's like my collection. It's all like just jam packed with stuff. I actually have to go through and kind of curate it a little bit more. I get messy, and like there's just lightsabers laying all over my room. It's like a 14-year-old boy's fantasy from 1985.
Hey, look, at least you live in the dream, right?
and my fiance puts up with it, so.
Hey, look, that means you're a lucky guy. You've got everything you need in life.
Hey, you said it.
Have you been to? Is it Disneyland where you can like make your own lightsaber?
Yeah, I did that. My friends and I went to Disney throws this thing called Celebration, Star Wars Celebration, where it's like the official kind of like convention for Star Wars fans, and they always do like the new announcements for the movies and such. But they had it at Disneyland this last year. So my high school friend, like my best friend from high school, Eric, we always go to this stuff together. He came out and we went to Disneyland together. Went to the Millennium Falcon ride, looked at the lightsabers, and did the whole thing. It was fun.
Do you stayed in that room that looks like the actual spaceship? Or
I've
no?
seen that. It's so expensive. Oh my god,
Chris, you have to go.
I've heard mixed reviews, but I have heard good things from some people.
Yeah, I saw it. I watched it on YouTube, and I was like, oh my god! I think you have to reserve a spot. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You have to check that out.
But like, if I had kids, that might be cool. But like, just like a 42-year-old man, kind of just chilling out, like, might be weird.
No, yeah, just go. You can go with your fiance. It's like it's a really cool experience. Like, yeah. I think that's the date.
Yeah. Okay, I could see that. That's an expensive date, though. Jeez, what kind of dating apps you guys think I make here?
Right. When you get to 1 billion users on niche, Chris, then you can celebrate with that, right?
Then I'll splurge with the Star Wars. That's a good goal, Mark.
Brilliant. So, Luana, over to you. Could be anything. Could be Star Trek. If we want to start a feud.
Controversial.
Oh my god, I'm a very I'm a Dragon Ball Z person actually. I'm very into Dragon Ball Z, so. Yeah, I have a lot of T-shirts and I collect a lot of those. So the guy that gets to get with me is gonna have to like my collection.
That's cool. Do you like collect all like the toys and stuff, like the little vinyl figures?
I do. I actually have ones that are like in a box and the other ones that are like outside because I was like little and I didn't know how important those were.
Star Wars fans do that too. You got to buy one to play with, one to keep in the case, and then like one just in case because you never know.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know. I have a few friends that are like very like insane collectors when it comes to that, and they will have like 4 boxes, and I was like, "Why you have so many?" Because anything can happen, a hurricane. I'm like, what?
That's true. You never know. You got to protect the toys.
How about you, David?
How about me? Wow, that's a good question. I guess if we're gonna nerd out about something, which I think everyone should be empowered to do, from the age of like 11 to probably 15, I was obsessed with Doctor Who. Like obsessed.
Nice.
Wow.
I did the
Nice.
same thing.
I like
with I used to have a subscription to a magazine, but I had the subscription twice, so I could get one, read it, open the little toys, and then I've still got a box in my house that I can't even give it away, mate. Of about 100 Doctor Who magazines, and every single time I look at it, I'm like, God, this takes up so much space. But you know what? It was worth it. I loved it. It was my little nerd out session. But now, as sad as it sounds, my life revolves around the worlds of crypto and Web3.
Well, you're one of us. You're like a true nerd. I feel like everyone's a true nerd underneath. We've all got those weird little nerdy things. I encourage that. I think that's fun.
Yeah, damn right, deep down. Of course. Look,
Maybe this can be our niche, you know, in niche.
hey,
You know?
your secret nerd. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Christopher, Luana, you've both been absolutely brilliant. Luana, can you please share with everyone how they can learn more about Flying Rhino, what you're up to, Octopus, whatever it might be?
Well, first of all, Octopus is going to be presenting also in Art Basel. We're going to have Sheldon Deere, our technical lead. He's going to be talking, giving a speech about, layer 2 in the Near protocol. So that's going to be very interesting. And there's a lot of, cool things that are going to be happening in Octopus. We're going to have the Octopus DAO soon. There's going to be a few app chains that are in booting, and so we're excited about that. We will be mentioning it on our, social media channels. And when it comes to Flying Rhino, so far we're creating a few campaigns with, my special members of NetBot and Popula, which are members of the Flying Rhino family. And I'm super excited because we're going to be doing so many campaigns with so many other projects. So I will be dropping that campaign pretty soon also in the Flying Rhino channel. And yeah, I'm going to be presenting in Peru. That's going to be 2023. So Flying Rhino is going to be flying to South America, and we're going to be, interacting with communities out there. So I'm pretty excited for 2023, actually.
Brilliant. I think it's going to be a good year, right? We're lining up for it. Chris, where can we learn more about all things Chris, all things niche, and how can we keep up to date so we can be first through the doors when you open them up?
Oh, goodness. Go to niche.club and sign up for the wait list. Otherwise, you can send us a message at members@niche.club, or you can email me at chris@niche.club if you want to chat about Star Wars or whatever. I deactivated my personal Twitter account, but more than happy to catch up with any of you on the niche account here as well. Yeah.
Thank you all so much, guys. You've been absolutely brilliant. I'm sorry we didn't have time to open up the floor for an AMA. I think we had wonderful discussions. You guys have brought so much to the table today. Thank you both so much. I will see you in person tomorrow, and I will see anybody else who is attending Miami Art Week and is coming to the NEAR event December 1st to 2nd. You can find more information and RSVP at near.org/Miami. Until then, stay hydrated, use sun cream, because it's hot.